Well, hello, hello, hello. How you doing? It's good to see you. I promised you I'll be here. Logistics have added about 10 more minutes onto the time I intended to be here on, but we are here and I'm very excited. I have got a really exciting guest. I want to share some insights with you. If you've paid attention recently, I am bringing you all the very exciting guys in my network. I want you especially to meet the ones who would give you relevant information on migration, but not just migration, it's on progress and all sorts of things. So I have actually got the powerhouse himself. He's going to join us in a few moments. Hi, Gail. I'm going to share with you one of my most exciting brothers. And it happens that he's also celebrating 2 years on his page. So it will be his second anniversary. You can wish his page a happy birthday when he's on. You can get your questions ready. Those of you who are a little broader in your search will be very familiar with him. Some of you may not be familiar with him. Whether you are familiar or not, you will be very excited to meet him. So if you are ready, I'm going to check if he if it's himself in a minute. So, bro, are you ready? Ready he is. Excellent. Right. Hello, Gil. How you doing? When you come on, just say hello. Let me know you are on. This is for all of you who love Jakpa. If you ever wanted to know about Jakpa, this last couple of weeks, it's been all the characters you need to know. I'm doing this on purpose. I want you to meet all the people who can help you. And then I'm going to leave you alone so you don't disturb my peace again. Okay. Are you there, bro? Right. I will have to figure out what has happened with the screen. The screen was very fine. I could see him and then I can't see him again. So when everything is resolved, I will add him. His name is Chorkor Millionaire. He will tell you his other names if he wishes to do so today. Let me just double check. Ako, can you hear me? If you can you check with Chorkor that everything is okay? His page. Oh, there he is. He's back.
Yeah. Hello, Sister Amma. Thank you for having me here.
I am so excited. So excited to bring this brother. And happy second anniversary, it turns out. I can't believe the page is only 2 years old.
Yeah, 2 years. Yeah, 30th of May, 2021, when I did my first video. It's been 2 years, really fast.
We block this Samuel Otu, who is a spiritualist and can't open his own page and is disturbing me on my feed. Those of you, I don't really care what it is you think you are. You better go and make your own page and have your own conversations. It is not on my videos that you'll be advertising your services, especially if I don't know who you are. If you are powerful, go open your own page and use the power to grow your home page. Very simple. Right, Chorkor? How do we even address you apart from Chorkor? When we don't want to call you Chorkor, what else can we call you?
Jimmy. I mean, Jimmy here.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Hello, Yahya. And right. So let's start from the very beginning. Let me allow you to introduce yourself to the audience the way you want them to get to know you. Tell them a little bit about what you are doing on this social media and why I find you so exciting. Well, I will answer for myself in a minute, but tell them what you're doing, and I will tell them why I find you exciting. Please, the floor is yours.
All right, people. Thank you for having me here today. My first time on Big Sister Amma's platform. My name is Chorkor on social media, Chorkor Millionaire on social media. And right away, somebody's thinking, does he have like $1 million in his pocket? Not exactly. It's pretty much a millionaire of that, like kind of just the way I think and what I believe about myself and for myself. So it's just more of a mindset than just material things in my pocket. Chorkor Millionaire is my name. I live in Canada. I've been here since 2014. I'm originally from Ghana in West Africa, and was born into a very humble family. the first son of my parents. Have at least a dozen other siblings as well. And schooled in Ghana for the most part. Went to University of Ghana, where I did political science as a major and minored in sociology. And then got the privilege to pursue my grad studies, master's degree in Canada, on scholarship. And since then, I've been here trying to figure out how to navigate this thing called family life with my 2 kids and then my wife. Yeah, so pretty much that is it. On social media, I create content to kind of just educate people on a variety of things. I cover issues of leadership in Africa, on the continent of Africa, issues of wealth creation in the area of real estate investing, issues of immigration, and how people can do what I did, especially those who want to. And I also cover issues of family lifestyle. So that is where maybe me and my sister have a lot in common. Yeah.
Let's start from why a nice man like you has turned up to Canada. You are living your family life. Why didn't you choose to be quiet in your space and build your wealth quietly and enjoy yourself? Why did you choose to come to the social media so we can insult you sometimes? Why?
Wow. Why Canada? It was pretty much more of the instinct of every final year student looking for opportunities, preparing yourself for the transition after school. It was my 4th year when a stranger from the northern part of Ghana shared with me that, hey, you could also travel and get a scholarship to go study. I said, oh, really? I didn't know. I thought it was just pretty much government scholarships in Ghana through the Get Fund that could make things possible for those who are highly connected. I didn't know there were opportunities out there for people like myself, right? So when the opportunity came, I kind of took it and applied to a couple of schools in Norway, in the UK, in the US as well, and also in Canada. And then finally, Canada came knocking. In fact, all of them came knocking. But I settled on Canada and I moved here to do my master's. And then after that, the plan was to go back to Ghana right away. I was very Afrocentric around that time, and I still am. But I just felt that there were a lot more opportunities here for me to build myself up, upgrade myself, be a better person. And then in the future, God's own time, I get to move back and then see how best we can contribute physically on the ground as well. So that is it. Why did I put myself on social media? I'm not sure if it was intentional. It was just a moment in a private space that led me to just do a video. I never set out to do social media. That is like a fact of my life. In fact, when I came to Canada, I was very, very private. I was pretty much like incognito on social media. So even up to date, I haven't used a photo of myself since 2015 on WhatsApp. I haven't used a photo of myself on any of my social media. I mean, my personal profiles, proud to Chorkor Millionaire. So I was very private. Many people wouldn't probably even think I was out of the country. And for me, it wasn't because I didn't want people to know I traveled. It was because I felt I was in the wilderness. I was in a wilderness where I needed to just figure out what the heck I was going to do with my own life. I needed to know what God wanted to do with me, trying to figure out my own life mission and all of that. So I felt it was the perfect time for you to just stay away from the crowd and the noise. You know how Jesus did it? Many of us, if we were in the shoes of Jesus on the day of, that big moment where the dove came on him and then he was outdoor to the world and launched, many of us would have just relished in that moment and just stay on that big stage throughout. But what did he do? He isolated himself, went to the wilderness where nobody probably would be, just because he was just trying to just plan through the next phase of what his mission. So that is what I did. I stayed behind, and at the right time, when the moment presented itself, one thing led to the other. I was just reacting to somebody's personal issue. A professor actually at the Kwame University of Science and Tech had made a post on his personal profile on Facebook. And it was basically a post of, I'm done, I'm fed up with the system. No, I never considered traveling, but hey, I think I'm done. I want to pack and go. So when I read that, I'm like, this is somebody of admirable stature in society. That you say, look, I looked up to myself as a young man growing up, right? He's probably in his early 40s now. And when I saw him make that post, I'm like, whoa, like back home, I would dream to be in his shoes where he is. So for him to say like something is probably going through a big shift in it.
All right, you guys have to be
1 second. Just tell the person that, 1 second,
No problem. No problem. All right, those of you who are here, you are here on a treat.
All right,
I'm back. I will leave that comment there, but you see, what I will say to you is my belief, and I'm going to run this past Chorkor because Chorkor and I, we have conversations about these things. I will post and he will post on these things. Look, if you are waiting for people to bring you stuff, you will wait and you will suffer. The better thing to do when you are in need is to address the need. Okay. All right. Chorkor, I am back with you. Back here.
So I saw this professor in Ghana. This is somebody who had lived outside before, did his PhD, did his master's outside as well, and then has returned to the country and was lecturing at the university. Now, for him to make that post that he made somewhere around this same time 2 years ago, it kind of hit me. I normally don't comment on his post, but when I saw it, I felt the need to comment and say, you know what, I didn't know what he was going through. I didn't know his personal battles, like inside out. But I kind of commented and said, you know what, I'm here. If there's anything I can offer as help, I'm more than happy to do that. So one thing led to the other. I DM'd him and we started chatting. We talked on the phone, on WhatsApp at length. Now, what happened to me when we talked on the phone is what led me to do my first video. Because I kind of just soaked in all the frustrations of this man. And it kind of had an impact on me. Something just was released inside me. And I remember after that conversation, I grabbed my cell phone and my car keys. And I was walking out. And my wife was like, where are you going? I'm like, I don't know. I'm just going to record a video. Yeah. And then she said, what are you? Because she was actually listening to the conversation between me and the man. So she kind of knew what we're talking about, right? And she's like, I hope you're not going to do MPP NDC politics, which is basically politics about two political parties in Ghana here, partisan politics. And I said, I'm not going to do politics. Say, be careful. Don't bring trouble home. I said, okay. Picked my car, drove, and I was just wandering around in my car, just unsure of where to go, what to do. And then I just ended up by the canal, sitting by the canal, and just overlooking this river. And then I just grabbed my phone, this very phone right here, and I just started recording. It wasn't a live video. It was just a video I was recording of myself. And I just expressed some thoughts about where I thought we were heading as a country, Ghana, and what I thought we needed to urgently do, and how I felt that those who found themselves in tight positions could also globally just, open themselves up and take advantage of opportunities beyond the borders as well, right? So that video, I posted it in a WhatsApp group, just hoping that friends in my small group, WhatsApp groups would see it and then just let me know what they thought. And then what followed was that it ended up on a social media platform on Facebook, not my channel, a third-party platform, and it kind of went viral. So people started just connecting. Who is this guy? Who is this guy? Who is this guy? Who is this guy? And that was when I kind of got the edge that, okay, it looks like people want to hear more of what I have to say. So let me do a follow-up. I did a second video, and then the third video actually was something that led to me creating a page like we have on my platform. And then, it's been 2 years of just that journey of taking all the hits left and right. And so
it's been very interesting. I'll ask you about the journey in a minute. But you see, I was listening to you smiling. So it could have also been me calling you one day, telling you that I was sick and tired of the United Kingdom and I was moving and coming here. Similar to what's happened to the professor in Ghana. And sometimes you find people living in Canada who also get sick and tired of Canada, and they move and they go other places. when it is where you are from, is emotion driven, isn't it?
Yeah.
And sometimes when you hear the emotion, yeah, it will take you on a ride. Let's find out how that has evolved over time. So you started with this fire under your belly, and your direction from where I'm sitting, I've seen the direction change many times.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to see which of those direction changes were intentional. What has the journey been like for you, and what has instituted the direction changes that I think I have seen?
At the beginning, I was primarily all about just leadership content, speaking on leadership. As somebody with a background in political science, and I just thought that fundamentally our problem was just a leadership problem, right? If we could fix leadership, right? There's no perfect leadership in the world. That's a fact out there. But if we could just focus on just political leadership and get things right, and make sure that political distribution of the benefits of our sweat, our resources, trickle back into society, that everybody is getting equitably, like no fair access to it. Not like everybody should get the same thing, but like people have access to opportunities here and there. I felt that could actually put Africa out there as the front continent to go to, and that was where I started. And as time went on, people were interested in hearing that, but they wanted to know more of how did you get there? How did you come to Canada? How did you do it? So that was when immigration videos started coming in. And then, of course, as time went on, people also wanted to hear more of what I do with my family. So I started talking about family as well. Because as you and I probably agree, family systems are all under attacks everywhere now, right? In a very postmodern world where traditional families are just being stressed left, right, and with the far left ideologies there, it's pretty tough. So I try to just do my best to be a better person as a family person, projecting that and seeing how we can also lift young people up to build resilient families in a very tough, perverse world like we have now. So family conversations came in later on. And then as time went on, people also figured out that, oh my goodness, he has a little bit of information he could share on real estate investing. So a bit of our experiences here and there, we kind of tack all of them in. So 4 areas there. Leadership has always been my first love. I love talking. I can talk about leadership all day. And of course, but my followers, they would rather have me talk about immigration like 24/7.
Interesting. So we are going there. So it depends on where you are on this journey. I think I've engaged with you on some of the posts about leadership. I'm in the same place with you. The leaders are responsible, the leaders are supposed to do, but the reality is, in most cases, the leaders won't.
Yeah.
The people who realize that the leaders won't and they do something to help themselves are the ones who make progress. Those who don't realize that the leaders will not, and they continue to sit and wait. And you said your followers want to hear about, so your followers have actually cottoned on. That talking about the leaders is not going to change much for them.
Yeah.
They've realized that the leaders don't care. The leaders are building their lives, and that the only people who really can affect their lives is them and the messages they can pick from your self-determination stories. So let's go there slowly. Lovely man, you've come to Canada. Why didn't you just want to sit down and work and retire and go home quietly like the rest of our people? We live in Canada for 55 years and then we get a hernia and we go home and we go die. We build a 6-bedroom house in Ghana, but we live in a little corner in Canada. Our children live in a little sardine tin. That's atypical. You don't fit the typical mold. So I want to know what motivates that.
I think what motivates that is basically having a relationship with Christ. I'm a Christian, and I believe that if you want to be honest with yourself and ask the question whether you're a nominal Christian or a Christian on an experience with Christ and the Holy Spirit, you cannot receive precious treasure from God and keep it. If you read the Bible, anybody who came into contact with Christ and received that gift of salvation, they went back. They went back and then told their household, say, come on, this is what I found. Come taste some. Right? So for me, what I've gone through, my journey, my past, and what I've been through, and the transformation, knowing that there are millions of my kind, people who are probably more devastated than I was, I think that it will be very selfish on my part to know all so much and not to share. Now, fast forward 2 years down the line, if I never came out to do videos, there are so many people whose life wouldn't have been touched today, right? And if anybody goes on my channel and read the reviews there, over 1,000+ reviews, these are not rented messages or, these are true impacts in the lives of people. Mindset transformation, giving people hope, as a merchant of hope myself, and the gospel is all about hope, not fake hope, hope that is true. So if you are a Christian and you have received, look, imagine you working at a place and this place is so good, and your company is recruiting, there are brothers and sisters out there, who could also get these jobs. If you tell them about it, would you zip up or you go tell your friends about it? You will, right? A subsistence mindset says, focus on me, my children, my wife alone, care about nobody else. A mindset of greatness says that live your life and put other people as well first. And in doing so, you yourself will be a greater person too. So that is a mindset.
So this is an evangelistic mission, isn't it?
I wouldn't say it's evangelistic ministry. A lot of people try to box me into that corner. I just say it's for the Holy Spirit. I just believe that it's what the Holy Spirit does to anyone who allows himself. I resist the temptation to grab my phone to broadcast for my own glory. No, I listen to the Spirit. If it hits me, I move. Yeah.
Okay. That's a very interesting one. It's something I thought I picked up, but I wanted to see if it was me seeing things as usual, because I can read anything and everything into every situation, or if this was the actual situation.
The way you unpick things, Emma, I've been trying to figure it out. Things we don't see. Big sister, if you see the analyzer, then you go unpick them. So mine is more of a spirit thing. When it hits me, I resist. I do my best to resist the temptation of doing things for personal gain or personal glory. I try my best to just make sure whatever I do there is in line with what will make me right before God. Yeah.
It's amazing, and it really comes across, especially in your engagement with the other brothers and sisters. I'm glad Selassie is on. So one of the things you've done, and you've done really well, it is one of your legacies on this social media, is spotlighting other people, highlighting other people, bringing people in on the fold, telling people what to do, sharing information. But let me take it to the other side. What has been the challenges since you started doing this?
Because every day as a content creator is a character testing experience. You get tested in different areas with temperament, dealing with people, different shades of people, different, personalities out there. As a content creator, you have this dual expectation. People expect you to be all perfect, never going through your own moments, always looking like, and then dealing with the different creatures out there, it can be really tough. And at the beginning, I think because I was just pretty raw, right? And I came across as very blunt in the way I handled people. I am pretty much a no-nonsense choleric as well. So it means that there is a threshold to what I can tolerate. I am very, very blunt. I don't like mincing words. I just call a spade as it is. And people don't like it, especially dealing with our own people. They would rather want you to sugarcoat and tell. And I just think it's not a life of authenticity. And so at the beginning, these were phases of, content creation that I had to deal with. How do I handle this? How do I handle this? How do I handle that? How do I handle all the negative energy that comes to me? As a choleric, I thrive in positive energy. Any negative energy around me it deflates my balloon. It deflates my balloon right away. So I can easily be poisoned. My whole day could be poisoned by just one negative thought. So it is one area that I'm getting better at in terms of just learning to know when to when to focus on the big picture and how not to be distracted and all of that. And just making sure that I don't become easily accessible, especially to the toxic, narcissistic folks out there, right? So it is almost impossible to just get hold of me as I used to be. Like at the beginning, I used to have my phone number there. You could call me like a radio station and chat me up. There were moments when, I'm just trying to negotiate and get, a good moment with my wife in bed, and you have folks in the Gulf regions just calling you up and buzzing you up because they want visas. I said, dude, I'm here trying to get stuff done with my wife, man. Right? But they don't know the time difference, right? They don't know the time difference.
You are throwing some nuggets, so let's go for some.
My wife called me once and said, man, is this really what you signed up for?
I think your wife is a lady. If your wife wasn't a lady and she had the temperaments for the ones that some of us have, we would have tossed your phones through the window.
Oh, yeah. that is why I ended up with her, right? Because her personality is just the direct opposite of mine. She can stomach a whole lot more nonsense than I will, right? So, but it was just difficult. And, I didn't have anybody coaching me. I didn't have anybody telling me, hey, when you start, make sure you are not vulnerably accessible like that. Right? To the point where you just become. And I had my phone number out there, I had emails out there and everything. It's okay to have that. But you have to know what you're coming. It means you're actually opening the gate. Why? And anything can come at you. Yeah. Right? So I learned that there were moments when, I would channel all the anger from dealing with people in privates, DMs and messages. Some of them, people are so entitled, man. They want you to respond at their time. They want you to answer them. They want you to. And, and some just lack the ethics of communication. They don't know how to even ask. You are asking. You are in a position of not having. You want somebody to give you. You need wisdom to learn how to ask. And many of us, because we don't know how to ask, we don't even receive the things we should be receiving. The Bible says that in the book of James, you have not because you just don't know how to even ask. James 4 verse 1 going to 2. Right? So these were things that really tested me, and it got to a point I said, you know what? This private DM I have on my Chorkor Millionaire page, I'm shutting it down. So there was no way nobody could send me a DM, right? Bringing all your nonsense to me, depositing it on my courtyard and just going away. No way. No, you're not dumping anything to me right now, right? Then I left my email option there so people could email me, and that one as well, people abused it. So it got to a point I just gave a strict criteria that you can actually send me emails, but it has to be in relation to 1 or 2 or 3 stuff. If you send me anything which is outside of that, forget it. For me to even read this is waste of my time. I won't read it. And it's not about being prideful. It's just about letting people know what the standards are, right? That in order to access the things we desire, we must use the proper avenues to do that. Yeah.
So you've gone there. So let's go through this process. So you didn't start this with any coaching?
Not at all. That first video.
If anybody else was starting today, what would you say to them, having learned what you've learned?
Well, I would say that as a content creator, if you want to do this, you want to ask yourself whether this is motivated by personal, ambition or something of a higher calling. That is on you, and it's just the right time to do. There are a lot of people today who do content creation because they see it as an avenue to just make an extra cash on the side. I have no problem with that. It means that you need to go the professional way of doing it there. Now, many of us who do this because we feel that burden in our heart to do it, we are kind of those that God takes that up the cliff and toss us here and there and then test our temper here and there. Apostle Paul in the Bible, for example, like he never wanted to be an evangelist. Dude was just trying to do his stuff. But God had a different plan for him when he was Saul moving into Paul. So when you watch him, you notice that he also went through different phases of transformation as an apostle, right? Remember the early days when he had that sparring with one of the apostles. You got to when Paul said, Charlie, let's go to this place. The other guy said, Charlie, I'm not going with you. So okay, Paul said, you don't want to go with me. Okay, then the next trip you won't go with me. You see that, look, he was so raw, and as time went on, dealing with all the things right into the churches here and there, you could see that he was more of a mature person prepared for that leadership, right? So figure out, are you doing this because you just want to do it and you think that you have content you can share with people and you think you want to do this professionally? If yes, please make sure you get some coaching, because this stuff here can be It can be a big drain on your time. It can be a big drain on the things you do in your private space. It can be a drain on your mind as well, mentally. It can be exhausting mentally, right? Trying to just keep feeding people to keep your page going, your momentum going, it can be a big drain. If you want to do this professionally, make sure you get some coaching and sign up for some coaching courses here and there and see if you can get better. Or you can also learn from those who have already traveled the path that you want to travel. Are there people out there you admire for what they do? Are you humble enough to go and then learn and one or two nuggets here and there in terms of how you can take your own content creation to the next level? It's also another way you can do it, right? But those of us who are street boys like this, we will play with no rules. We do what is in our heart. Yeah.
And that's a very brave thing to do because, well, I came the exact opposite. I came very coached, I came very schooled, and it's still not been an easy path for me. I've gone through all the ups and downs that you also described. And so I can imagine if I didn't have the coaching and the guidance before I came, I probably would have thrown in the towel and I'd have gone and given up. Let's come there. Now, for content creation and people who also have a message. If a person wakes up one day and sees a Chorkor Millionaire video and the person becomes galvanized like you did, and they want to go make their first video, again, from experience, what would be the points and tips that you would give this person before they come and make this first video or during the time they are making this video? What have you learned from the experience?
I would say be very authentic. Be very authentic. We live in a hyper social media generation where the clicks online matter more than the content that we put out there. Yet this power of media, social media that we have, could be transformational. It could be something that could transform people. So be very authentic with yourself. Make sure you research on the topic you want to just cover as well, and make sure you also learn to just have a niche. Have a niche. Don't just do what everybody is doing. You know, there are times when, as young content creators, we don't have a clear mission of what we want to do, and we may start up today talking about maybe food, and then tomorrow we are doing politics, right? So when people look at you, it's difficult for them to put an identity on you, like, well, where do you belong, right? I want people to know me as the guy who speaks on leadership, the guy who is passionate about how families can be resilient, the guy who cares about wealth creation, because me and poverty, we have bantered a lot. So there's no way I won't talk about poverty, right? The way poverty messed me up for the past year, it's as if my family signed or we just had a covenant with poverty. So there is no way on my platform I ain't talking about wealth creation. A poor man, you see poor people who have been through and through poor, there's no way they won't talk about money. They respect money more than anything. So that you get a bit of that on my platform. Have a niche. What is your niche? What do you want to talk about? How resourceful are you? How much do you know? Do you have to learn? Do you have to reschool? Sometimes we need to reinvent ourselves. We need to learn. We need to unlearn things, right? Because nobody wants to listen to somebody who doesn't seem to not to know what they're delivering. If you know your craft, the audience will follow. Most of the time, we don't focus on actually getting the message and the content right. We focus on how many people are going to watch me, how many. When I started, look, if you go back and watch my first few videos, you'll notice the energy I had in those videos. It's probably as the same as what you see today in today's video. Why? Because it wasn't about how many people are watching. It's about, is the message right? If the message is right, forget about the audience. They will come.
Okay, that's an interesting one. So content remains king, but let's come to this thing you touched on. One of the hottest things to do now is to create content on Jakpa.
Yeah.
Everybody's trying to Jakpa. People want to Jakpa. So if you can create content on Jakpa, then people will come and watch. But what you were saying is that in order to create Jakpa content, you've got to be willing to learn about Jakpa properly. Is that right?
Yes. Educate yourself. Make sure you are up to date with things happening. You don't want to be a naive person. I mean, I'm pretty sure we'll talk about MD Tiami.
That was next.
In his apology video and in the follow-up videos he did after that, one of the things he said is that at the time he granted the interview, he didn't even know that he had a plan like this, right? So meaning that it's possible that he was not up to date with developments in the UK, right? If he knew, he probably would have actually been more in control of the narrative or the discussion, right? And I just thought at the timing just made things bad. So just be updated. I follow developments in Canada's immigration because this is what I speak on. As a non-professional, just a street guy, I need to know what's happening. I need to be able to know whether the latest update is worthy enough to share with my audience or not worthy enough, right? How can you share that which you don't have, right? You have to be updated. So just make sure you are learning yourself. If you're learning, man, people, the followers, they are fleeting. Huh? They'll move. Today, followers who are with you today, tomorrow they are gone. They'll go somewhere else and go watch it, right?
Yeah.
Yesterday, there was a post on Ghana's national television, GTV. Somebody can go look it up on Facebook. They were asking a question. This from GTV's official page, Ghana Television. They said, we want to know, why are you people not watching GTV? Okay, you want to know why people are not watching GTV? Because you guys are not in tune with the realities of the 21st century. You have to know what people are interested in hearing. They don't want to come here, propaganda, media broadcast, right? Broadcast on things that actually affect people and see whether people are not going to watch it. But if you're not going to broadcast, then you just, I'm sorry. Mm-hmm.
No, I saw a GTV page. I don't know if that's the official one, but I saw a GTV page of 100 and something K followers. Yeah. And I couldn't believe that was the GTV. It can't be the GTV.
Exactly. This is national television, isn't it? National television is state broadcast.
That's it. Is that the original?
Yeah, I believe so. That's the original. But they are just wondering why people are not watching, whether the mainstream TV, GTV channel, or following them on social media. It could be either of them, but they're worried. And the truth is, as a content creator, you have to learn to have the thermometer to test the temperature out there. What is the mood of people? What are people interested in knowing? What is it? I never had immigration as part of my main thing, but people want to hear more of that. And it means that I have to actually do my best to actually feed them with information and still not deviate from the main reason why I think that I'm actually on this platform, right? So this is out there. Like, if you're a content creator, you have to be in tune with the time. You have to know what time it is. If you don't know what time it is, you're just like the Sadducees or the Pharisees who thought they understood the time. And Jesus said, look at all you guys. What are all this big agbada walking around? But you don't know what time it is. Who need time? You don't know what time it is. The time is now. You guys don't even know. You were smart enough to tell, when the clouds form like this, it's going to rain. When they form like this, but you can't tell what time it is. The signs are all around, right? So media houses, traditional media houses, listen. It's either you step up the game of content creation in the 21st century, or you die out. That is it. It's either you are resilient or you be kicked out like Nokia. Simple fact. Simple fact. Yeah. Because today's media is in the hands of people. With a cell phone, you're broadcasting right away. Nobody needs to pay nothing to go put it on national TV. So you are either keeping up with the competition, innovating, and making sure you still maintain your values and your core mission, or you can read it as simple, no mercy. If you don't reinvent, you'll be kicked out. Yeah.
I saw that. I couldn't believe it. I saw it was 120,000 or something like that. And I had a feeling that this must be a fake account that somebody's made. This cannot be the social media handle of the national television. It can't be.
In fact, I think that they've even grown a bit better on social media now, thanks to people like new additions like Kafri Day. I think that gentleman is just somebody who has brought a lot of spice, and not just spice, like a lot of vibrancy to the entire GTV. Anyway, we don't want to focus too much on them. The idea here is that as content creators, you need to keep up with the times and still stick to your core mission. Simple as that. Yeah.
Okay. So you mentioned our brother MD.
Yeah.
MD is an interesting character. Let's digest this whole thing with MD. I want to take it from me and my perspective. I've just made a video I haven't put out yet. I'll put it out this evening about this whole thing. The fact that MD is a new person in the UK. The fact that the BBC went for the newbie rather than go for some of the seasoned ones, because there are people in the UK who create content in this region, in this area, who have been there a long time, who are established. They didn't go for some of those people. They came for MD. I want to discuss this from when you saw the video. What were your first thoughts? Let's start from there.
People were tagging me. You have no idea how many messages I got from people. People were tagging me all over and saying, man, look at what our brother has done. He sold us out. They calling him names. Like, what's going on? And By the way, proud to that particular viral video, I never came across in this context. So it made him more popular, too, right? A lot
Yeah.
more people got to know about him because of that viral video. And now there's a temptation to also listen to or watch a 2-3 seconds of a clip and just also make a conclusion on that. I tried my best to actually go and check out what was out there, to get a bigger picture of, for the contest. And I realized that I don't think he intended to say some of the things he said. I think he misspoke. I thought the part where he just said that the reason why folks are coming into the country is not because of that reason, but it's because of that. I thought it was a little bit of something of an utterance that lacked a bit of wisdom, right? I could have said the same thing and it would have made more sense, not because I'm smarter, but because immigration is in the DNA of every country out there, right?
Well, yeah.
Immigration is in the DNA. In fact, if you study the history of this whole world, we are all pilgrims. We're always moving. So there is no crime in moving.
No.
When it comes to immigration, legal migration, there is always what we call the dual intent. The dual intent is the reason you give the officer for wanting to legally enter your country. And then there is also what we call, beneath the veneer of that, we have what we call the personal motivation too. I may have gotten a visa to come, watch a Chelsea game, but of course, beyond that, maybe I'll go to visit the strip club. You have to tell the officer that as well when you're applying.
Yeah.
No, right? And this is all because look, the things we keep to ourselves are locked in our subconscious, in our heart. Right? That is what the scriptures say. The deep things of every man is down in the heart. They don't tell you that. So MD, I felt that some of the things that he said, right, there were things that were deep in the heart of many Africans. We don't go telling people that when we apply for visa. So for you to speak about it in the manner in which you did, it required a lot of wisdom or just proper context in such a way that it's not viewed by your own people as just, anyway. I thought that he could have put it in a better context. He could have made a better argument for how migration or the immigrant groups in the US actually positively impact the economy. And without them, I think the European economies would have collapsed. Look at Germany. Germany that is not known for a pro-immigration, policy. All of a sudden, they're just rolling out policies just trying to attract. Because the truth is that without the immigrants, your economies are going to fall flat. That's a fact. Right? Look at North America. The same North America that we celebrate today, United States and Canada, in the DNA of these countries, if you take out the indigenous people, this is completely an immigrant economy. Right? Now, will somebody tell me today that Joe Biden is not an immigrant? Damn, you don't know your history. Go look at the Biden history. His own parents migrated from somewhere too. They came from Europe. Post-World War, they all came from Europe. Look at Trump. Trump, who is talking today, he came from there too, right? Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister, whether you want to call him Prime Minister or Prime Minister in Canada, whichever one you want to call him, his family, they are all immigrants too. You might be a third generation or a fourth generation immigrant. You might be a Caucasian. We are all immigrants. It's in the DNA. If you take out the indigenous people of these Americas, everyone is an immigrant, right? But if you know your stuff, there is no way somebody is going to make you feel like a minority black person here stealing our jobs. Stealing whose job? Right? When your own people don't want to go to school, when your own people don't want to actually go and work, they would rather sit down and collect checks from the government and get high. This is not the case for everybody, by the way. But there's a reality on the ground. And you have people who are just looking to, put bread and butter together. People who are just looking to build a life for themselves. How many of us are working statistics out there as crimes? How many of us? I've never been in contact with the police for bad reasons. You understand? So how do you make me feel that my presence here is a negative? What am I stealing? Right? But you see, if you don't know the history and you don't know how to articulate in such a way that you don't come across as a negative person or a person who is anti whatever it is, you will always be put. The narrative will always be spun around in such a way that, look, it makes you feel like you are the one. There is no way anybody in this country, Canada, can make me feel that I'm stealing anybody's job. Because when we start our conversation, we're going to go all the way down to the first generation. And you're going to tell me where your own ancestors came from.
But apart from even where the ancestors came from, it's about a qualification thing. I'll come and unpack that in a minute. But have you seen this funny TikTok thing with a girl where people ask her about her job? She says, "What is your dream job?" She says, "No, I don't dream about
that. So I don't dream about job. I dream about vacations." I saw it on the channel actually.
I think that is what most people are like. I mean, here, there's quite a lot of expats here. The reason why we work is not because we want to work. We come here because we want to live here.
Yeah.
The work is just the reason why you come here. Mm-hmm. So again, it's a funny thing. I'm not here because I want to work. I don't like working. I also want to be holidaying.
Mm-hmm.
But if I want to come live in this region, something has to bring me, which is in line with the agenda of the country.
Bringing something to the table. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it happened to be that they were looking for teachers. So I took a chance.
And you're qualified.
And I'm here to teach. I'm not here to teach for them per se, but the teaching is what
brought you.
Let me come. Yeah. Yes, we come because we status is okay. I think I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you were cutting out in and there. If you can just go back about 20 seconds.
It improved?
Yeah, teaching brought you. So teaching brought you. Mm-hmm.
Teaching was the mechanism that brought me here. It's not work. Yeah. I don't love work. I want to holiday all the time. It's the lifestyle I can give my family. That's why I am here. I am not here because I am here to teach. And that's not illegal. I'm here as long as I turn up to the job and I do what I'm supposed to do. I've taken care of what I said I would do. I also get to do what it is I really wanted to do, which was live here and do things with my family. What's the difference between that and the students who bring the student visa to a place? They do the studies that they came to do. They pay for the studies that they came to do. And when they finish and they are qualified and their jobs and they take them, where is the offense? Show me.
You know, I don't know, this whole conversation around they are taking this, they are costing this in the economy, I think it's more sensational, more of an emotional conversation than the factual one, right?
Of course.
Because if you look at it, there are different types of migration. There is forced migration where people are, displaced, right? Through war, like what happened in Liberia, what happened in Syria, what is happening in Ukraine. People are displaced. And sometimes we just, as good citizens of this world, we just open our doors to take them in, right? Because we understand that we share those bonds of, with them. What they go through is what we also go through. So we take them in, right? Then there are also ways that people migrate legally. Since the era of passport and whatever and visas, we didn't create them. They did. Did we create them? Yeah. No. Most African countries don't even have that until recently, right? You created them. You made the rules. Nobody forced you. You made the rules. Right? You want to come here as a visitor, these are the rules. The Home Office, you made them. You want to come to Canada, you want to go to the US, these are the rules. We need your social media account information, put it on the D160 when you're filling out. You made them. I satisfied them. How the heck do you come back and tell me I'm stealing your job? How? No, unless you can tell me that my presence here is actually causing more problem for you in terms of, crime and all of that, then that is something we need to discuss. But if you can, it's more of like, an emotive conversation than the fact. What is the fact? The fact out there is, if you take away the immigrant group workforce of the entire global north, it will collapse flat. Look at it, COVID. COVID exposed that a bit, isn't it? It exposed the global north more. African countries are still navigating because, you see, the COVID that happened, we've been living COVID for years essentially. We've been living COVID for years, man. That is why we're still standing. We're so rugged, man. We're so rugged.
He who is down fears no fall.
We've been living this for years, for decades. Right? With this small 2020 COVID where people they walk around. You see how, no, look at it. That is why when you watch it, look at it. Didn't people predict that African economies were going to be, the population will be decimated here and there, right? Because look at our structures, very informal, no layout, poor. We boss ourselves around, we sit on top of each other sometimes, right? push and let me say, that's what we do. Shouldn't that be like the number one place we should actually having people fall off like a zombie movie? But we're still there. You know why? Because this thing in the black man's DNA is so resilient.
Yes.
We've been through it. We've been through it for ages, for decades. We've been through worse, and we're still standing. Right? This small one way shake them. We see how the economics make. Almost all the economies are down. Inflation 7% across the global north. They are all wailing. Say they are wailing. Say you 7%, 5%, 6%. They are all complaining. Is it Ghana? You know what we do for Ghana?
35%.
This is what we've been doing, man. This is the normal life, right? The bottom line here is that they need us more than we do. That is why in the country I live in, a whole government could sit down to marshal a plan to say, from now to 2025, 2026, we desperately need 1.6 million immigrants to come into the country. Why? The truth is, without the immigrants, this economy is flat. These are economies where people don't believe in giving birth anymore. These are economies where population is aging. You have a lot more older people than you. How does any country survive? How does any society survive? Right? So they need us more. So nobody can spin the argument around to make it look that we are actually the ones who are actually doing anything wrong. No. You make that an intellectual argument to people who don't know it. Yeah.
But students, they come on a visa, they pay their school fees, whatever their reason for coming. What is that? Why is that even up for discussion?
And Amma, look at the interesting thing. They pay their school fees. That's what you said. How much do they even pay? What is the school fees of an international student compared to that of a UK national?
Precisely.
Right? When they pay just a couple of, when they pay a couple of what? Pounds there, how much are we paying? 10 times that, 15 times that. Then they, on top of they requiring you to pay maybe those tuition deposit and stuff before they give you the confirmation of whatever it is, the certificate of acceptance, right? They ask you to bring a bank statement. How many of them actually need a bank statement to travel to any part of the world? How many of them? How many of them need a bank statement from the global north before traveling to any other country? They don't need it. They just get up and they go. They put all these hurdles there in their way and people still meet them.
People still meet them.
Hurdles that are meant to say don't come, and we still meet them. And on top of that, if you are not even lucky, in countries like Canada or US, they will still tell you bring a proof of this and a proof of that. They call it proof of home ties. Proof of your head, proof of your auntie's nose, proof of your late grandmother's rape. We have to prove all of that just in the name of what? Legal migration, in quote. Legal migration, not even coming through or on a boat. So when people come, and it's not like you woke up and then there are a bunch of migrants, causing havoc and they're in jail, and so that is a crisis that needs to be addressed. And then we make, come on, illogical policies as though immigrants are a net, deficits to the economy. It just doesn't make any sense.
We are not familiar with the British politics also on social media. This thing is cyclical with the British public, by the way. Mm-hmm. This thing is cyclical. 20 years ago, they started a points-based system or something like that. 20 or 15 years ago, when they started the points-based system, it was the same argument. Then they got rid of all the illegal immigrants, and then they didn't have enough people. Mm-hmm. So at that time, they were in the EU. So the Polish guys, maybe 10 years ago, 12 years ago, there was a huge influx of the Eastern Europeans who had only just joined the EU. Again, guys like the African migrants are hungry. They will do any job. They will wipe. They will clean.
We wash the dishes.
Will not wipe. The natives will not clean.
They won't do it. That's a fact. They won't do it.
Yeah, natives will not wipe. Anyway, I mean, even us, when we are home, would we wipe? When you are in your hometown, would you wipe? I wouldn't. Mm-hmm. Yeah, when we are home, nobody really wants to do those things in your own father's land.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The natives will not wipe. The natives would not wash. After the Eastern European thing and the Brexit, if you've actually paid attention to British politics, they make a lot of noise about closing migration, but they are opening for even more categories. Now, people who are not even registered nurses can come to the UK because they can't find care workers. They can't.
They cannot have it both ways. That's a fact. You can't.
They cannot.
You can't.
This thing after 2 years, and again, if you've paid attention, about 10, 15 years ago, again, they did it with the students. But that time they were targeting mainly the Chinese, and they boycotted the institutions for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
The university started writing to the Home Office and telling them about the deficits in their funding. And very miraculously, some of those policies were not announced, but the people also ended up coming still.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I'm expecting will happen with this. Yes. When all the Nigerians cannot bring their family members, they cannot pay the school fees because it is the family members who come to work.
Yeah.
So the students can pay the fees.
Exactly.
This is the, I was expecting MD to tell these people.
Yeah.
Yes, they bring their family members not because they want to come and eat England. They bring their family members because it is these spouses and girlfriends and aunties and whoever who work full time to raise
Of course.
something thousand to pay the school fees that these people pay to the university. And if they don't bring these people, they can't afford this money. So they will go to Ukraine. There's Ukraine. There are all sorts of countries now who are even offering scholarships. You don't even need to bring your auntie to come and work.
Free.
It's that we need to actually discuss the community. So stop panicking.
Yeah.
If the UK is not a place, a destination for studies, it's not the only place you can study.
On that, let me just tell people that look, Canada's immigration minister just made an announcement some few days back that look, we're actually more committed to helping you reconnect and reunite with your families. So family visas are going to be approved on a record level within 30 days. They are proving that a massive rise, right? They want to encourage a lot more people to join their families here. This is to tell you that when you compare the UK's immigration posture to that of Canada, these two countries are different. One is pro, they want more people in. The other says, no, we don't want them. But the truth is the economy says they need them, right? So which way?
Go where people want you.
Yeah.
Go where people want you.
Go where people want you.
Those who think they don't want you will need you and will beg you. Yeah. This is the thing. What we need is 2 years, like the Chinese did. 2 years of boycotting these institutions. 2 years.
Yeah.
Of nobody coming here alone. 2 years of boycott.
Yeah, and most of them will collapse without international
stuff. The universities were right. This is not the first. This, my dad says, when they were here in the 50s, the same thing happened in the 50s. They repeated it in the 60s. They did it 10 years ago.
That's why you said it's a cycle, huh?
It's cyclical. It is. And because I think social media is now getting information for the first time to most of our people who are not familiar with how cyclical these things are. They have all panicked. MD has closed all. MD has blocked. MD cannot do jack.
Way before MD, the thing was already done. So no MD because
the Conservatives, when they won the election in 2008, said they wanted to stop immigration. They have actually quadrupled or probably multiplied immigration into these countries by 10 times. They were the ones bashing Labour. They said Labour could not control the borders. Coming in, and they will stop migration and they will secure the borders, and we voted for them. And now they are here recruiting care workers from
care workers, and then
I've even seen in some places the IELTS requirement is being waived for some people. You don't need to speak English, just come.
Like Canada is doing now, they've dropped most of the requirements, making it easy for people to come in. So anyway, the truth is that look, this economy is needed. That's the bottom line. So if you're an African watching, don't feel like they need you. The global economy actually needs
you. Can we clarify something very important? They don't need unskilled Africans.
That's true. Yeah, they need a skill. That's the truth. Yes. In other words, they need the ones with people with qualifications, the professional, everything, the experience, and all of that. That is why if you find that it's more difficult for people without, say, an academic training or a professional training, or people without a talent, you need to have something. These people, Charlie, they are smart too. That is why they are not running a lottery visa system like the US. How many of them are running lottery visa? Right? They target the skill. They target the skill because that is what actually addresses. Germany is just about rolling out a skill-based, point-based, something similar. Why? Because the German economy is actually going down. It's gone down massively.
Yeah.
All right.
When you come, and I always say to people, even if you manage to make it in somehow, and you are unskilled, you will suffer. You will suffer. Yeah. The economy is such that when you come to live on the breadline, when you have to work on the brute force in this economy, which will suck all your money back in taxes, you will live a horrific life. if you are not careful. So let's go there. Most of them want to Jakpa, and they expect that when they come to Jakpa, as soon as they come, life is going to be rosy because they see Chorkor with your lovely shirt. Let's baseline the reality there. When you first come, what is it like?
Oh man, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. But even truth is that it was better than my situation back home. I came here as an international student for my master's degree. I was on full scholarship, and I had a contract as a teaching assistant. I remember I was being paid like $32 an hour, and for me that was huge, because where I'm from, Charlie, this is actually like my first time ever getting like a paycheck coming through my whole life, right? So it was big. It was a big shift for me. But of course, the bills would always swallow a chunk of it, right? You have to pay your rent, you have to pay this, you have to pay that, the bills. The quality of life out here, in terms of some of the things that actually guarantee that, look, your life will be better, is actually way better. The infrastructure and all of that is way better out there. But the truth is that it is also an economy that is heavily taxed. So most of your money will go into tax. That is why if you live in countries up north, you want to be very creative, very creative and pretty much on top of the system, knowing the different ways you can actually just, double down and then level up yourself. And then, sometimes we need to retool ourselves, you need to pick up a new skill, you need to go into different directions, high paying jobs here and there, making those sacrifices, saying that, what, this is where the big check is. I want to just upgrade myself. Do I have a passion or maybe an interest in IT? Maybe I could do that. Maybe it's a trade thing. I could go and learn carpentry or welding or something like that. You never did that before. My whole life, I never ever grabbed a comb or a clipper to shave my hair. It was in Canada I had to do it, because when I look at how much I was paying the barbers as a student, it didn't make sense to me. Those days when I came here, I barber shop, you go and then you're charging me $20, $25, $30, man. Like that's a lot of money. When you convert it back home, that's a whole lot of money. So I went the first time, that Jamaican barber there, right? Who spent about what? Like, not my current barber, by the way, a different barber at that time. Dude who spent about what? Like half of the time chatting and just running the machine down, and then he just took $30 from me. And then I look at how much I need to go, sweat in the factory, right? Especially if you are the type working in, the blue collar settings and then factories and stuff. It's no easy on us, right? How much break time do we get? Max 15 minutes break time, right? If you're not lucky, you even get 10 minutes break time. By the time you walk out of the factory, trying to chase that microwave there, you've already lost 2-3 minutes. And when you're eating, it's like you're racing just to feed yourself. That's not the kind of life we want. So when you live here, especially coming in, you have to know yourself. Am I coming in as a high-end skilled person? Or I'm coming as a low-skilled person? Or I'm coming as somebody with nothing at all? You have to know. If you come in, you have to actually just roll up your sleeves and make sure you are actually just stepping up, right? Things I learned here, I never learned them back home, because it is either you are doing that or you're going to put in 2-3 shifts trying to keep up with the bill. I learned that the hard way. When I came, my first 2 years was tough, especially when I left school. When I was in school, TA money was coming in. Every 2 weeks, dude was making almost $500. My rent was just around $350. So my first 2 weeks salary as a TA went into that, and I had the second 2 weeks just banking it down and then doing stuff with it, right? But it's not forever. You're going to be out of school soon. A 1-year program. Maximum within 8 months, you're done. Then you need to figure out how you're going to navigate yourself through. That is where we begin to have our challenges, right? The desired jobs may not necessarily be the ones you get. You may have been a bank manager. You may have been the boss ordering people around. You may have been a supervisor of some. But when you come here, it may not be the case. So sometimes you may have to just, just step back a little bit and take a little bit of a humble pie and say, you know what, I must start small, right? I must start small. I'm going to try to figure out the system. I'm going to try to just learn the ways to just upskill myself and just have that mobility that I want. But if you're not ready to do all of this, it's going to be tough. You're going to need 2-3 jobs if you're not ready to upskill. That's it. It's a fact, guys. Let me tell you this truth, guys. We are living in times of unprecedented growth. The amount of wealth being created, the rate at which it's being created, the amount of innovation we are seeing here today. Bro, listen, everything is getting smart, including cell phones and all kinds of devices. If we don't become smart as human beings, we're going to fall off. We're going to fall off. Those days of 2, 3 jobs, 4, 5 jobs is a big strain. I have a video I did. I used to be a taxi driver. I used to work 3, 4 jobs, man. Out of 24 hours God gave me. Yours truly used to sleep for what? 3 hours out of 24.
Yeah.
You want to do this for how long? You really want to do this for how long?
But how long can you do it for?
How long can you do this? You're going to shut down. You're going to, look, I don't care whether you got 6 parts or you got muscles. You're going to shut down. I did that, and I've put it in a video. That stuff affected my reproductive health. It got to a time my guy was not even firing properly. A day woman top, a day my wife top, a man who defeat give birth. Man, I put that all of that in a video. I sacrifice the body's rest, chasing those monies, trying to keep up. And I was working as hard as anything, as though I was the one going to pay Africa's IMF debt. How? No time for the body to rest.
So
no
at the
time
moment,
for the body to rest.
The strategy has changed, but I want to.
The strategy has changed. It got to a point I had to sit back and ask myself, man, is this the way I want to continue? No. Maybe I need to polish my CV up. So I did, and I got a better job. Polish up your CV. Is there something about the way you craft your CV that is not just making it? Because nobody is manually reviewing CVs anymore. In the 21st century, nobody's manually reviewing your CV. They don't have time to read all of that. Your CV is being reviewed. Sorry about that. There was a call coming through, so interrupted. Your CV is being reviewed by a computer. Softwares are running through your CV. Yeah. So if you don't put the skill set that actually matches those jobs, you never get those calls. And remember, our skin color also means that we have to work a lot more harder to not only get into the jobs, but to also maintain those jobs and climb up the ladder. Subtle discriminations here and there, that's a fact. We need to upskill ourselves. We need to pick up new skills. I had to learn new skills, doing stuff on the side, asking myself, would I rather burn 20 hours making $30, 20 hours on 2, 3 jobs, making $30, or I will sacrifice and acquire skills that will pay me $30 in an hour? So that is where I started making the difference.
Okay.
So those days when I used to make $11.25 an hour, $11.25 an hour, I no longer. Now, like, you have to pay me a lot more in an hour to get the same person. What has changed? The mindset, leveling up, figuring out the top skills, figuring out what is actually moving in that country you're living in. Where are the big chairs being created? Why are all the Indians going into IT? Why are people going into trades? Why are we not doing that? Why are we just the ones washing dishes? I don't mind you washing dishes for 2 years or 1 year because you are new, but you cannot stay there forever. You cannot stay there forever. Maybe you move up from that kitchen and tomorrow you are the manager. Commanding manager, 6-figure income. You deserve to take that vacation too.
Absolutely. And I think that's the trick. I've told you guys many times of how many hours I used to work too. And then after a while, you come across people who just explain. So I encountered somebody in his coaching, and he says, well, there are 2 strategies in this life. You either chase a lot of a little, or you chase a little of a lot. When he finished, I was like, huh? Say that again. Mm-hmm. He says,
very profound.
You either set up to chase a lot of a little, or you set up to chase a little of a lot. Mm-hmm. So people ask me all the time, when I started doing these courses of mine, do you know my name on social media? You might be new, so
I'm a Money Academy.
No, that's the new name. Money Amma was the name. No, my actual original name was 20, 30, 40.
Okay.
You know why?
No.
When I first started, my webinars were $20, $30, or $40.
Okay.
20, 30, 40. So I went to see this coach. One of my coaches recommended I went to see this guy. And this guy says, well, girl, your 20, 30, 40 strategy is chasing a lot of very little. You would need to sell to about 1,000 people a month for it to be reasonable and to lead you anywhere. Or you can go and work on this same course. At the moment, my average course is $250. Some of them are $500. My highest one is the business one at $1,000. So imagine, when I was selling things at $20, I needed to sell her 50 of them before I'll make $1,000.
Yeah.
That's the reason. And unfortunately for a lot of us, it's the mindset we were programmed with. We don't even sit down to consider it. We just chase a lot of little, or flip the rhetoric completely and chase a little of a lot. In order to chase a little of a lot,
that is profound.
Level. Oh, absolutely. So I had to go back and look at my courses and look at how I was going to upskill my courses, how I was going to add value. And yes, when I actually did go through what this person had taught me to do, I sat down one day and I'm like, how was I that stupid in the beginning? Like how? And it was ignorance. Yeah, it made sense. Our people don't have money, so let me sell my courses at $20 so that everybody can buy it. And you think you get a lot of everybody's, but even if you get a lot of everybody's, the progress you will make is only this, because you are chasing a lot of very little. That's the African mindset most of the time. We chase a lot of very little. You want to get your little Uber job, and then you go and get your, I don't know, whatever low grade job on top, and then you add this one. Yes, you need 3 or 4 of them to make the income you need to live. That's the principle of chasing a lot of very little to try and survive. You need a lot of hours, and then after a while, your 24 hours is all used up. You can't do more. Or the new mentality says that you find ways in which you upgrade your skills.
Yeah.
You find the ITs that Chorkor was describing. Then you upgrade yourself to where you can get the big, and you only need a very little amount of the big, and you are still there.
And you're still there. And when you get there, you actually hang in a lot more, and you have a lot more rest.
Chorkor, I was talking to you earlier, and Chorkor was like, yeah, I would let my PA talk to you, and I was laughing because my PA was in the background talking to his PA. Amazing.
Yeah.
But this is something most of us would not even have considered. Let me ask you why. Why is it that you decided to get a PA? Isn't that a bit considered?
My mental health base was crashing. My mental health hard disk was not over, was crashing. In other words, it is if I'm not here to just toot my own horn, but if I look at the growth of my channel and the amount of energy that comes out of me on daily basis, this is me doing 3, 4, 5 videos in a day. Not 20 minutes videos, not 15-minute video. Some of the videos run in 2 hours. That's a lot, right? Yeah. And on top of that, sitting back and having to respond to comments, individually. If you respond to, say, Mr. O.com's message or comment, and you don't respond to that of Yaya Harun, it's a biggie for somebody else, right? People get offended for the little thing out there. They don't even see why you didn't even put a like on there. And the same people they don't hold themselves to the same standard. When was the last time they shared your video? When was the last time they liked your video? When was the last time they actually did something for you without expecting anything back? But you see, the expectation people have of content creators is enormous. If you're a content creator and you don't figure out a way to actually just have some smaller responsibilities off your plate so you can focus on the big things there, you're going to be drained. And when you get drained, guess where you transfer the anger to? You transfer it to your followers. And if your followers, you don't end up transferring it properly, they will fire you back with more anger. And then when you come home, you find a way to transfer it to your wife. And if your wife is not able to take it, oh my goodness, you see it. If you have a very tough wife, she'll deny you sex for 3 months so that you learn wisdom. And if you're not, if you live in America where you have kids who know their right and you transfer onto them, you'll be in trouble. So I had to figure out whether I really want to be the one sitting behind the phone doing all of this stuff and taking all this. It wasn't healthy. So I decided to get a PA. So my PA does most of the other small stuff. Even with the PA, Charlie, it gets overwhelmed. He said, Chorkor, like 3 days ago, he just called me and said, Chorkor, sometimes when I'm in my mood, I just do things before telling him what I've done. I probably will make a post and say, you know what, I'm helping this group of people today. If you are an old schoolmate or something, get in touch with my PA.
I saw that one. Right? And I'm like,
he was actually sleeping. He woke up and he had over 1,000 messages and people were calling. It's like, please, what did you do? What did you do? I say, yeah, that's me getting ahead of you. Like, like it's a lot. It's a lot to handle as a content creator. Sometimes you just have to learn to focus on the big things. Focus on the big things and let those who are better at focusing on the small things to help you do. Now, isn't it interesting that on 2 occasions we saw this in the Bible? In the days of Moses did a fantastic job bringing the people out of, calamity and all, and all of that. And it got to a point when the numbers were growing and the leadership responsibility was getting bigger and bigger. Dude actually thought he could do it all alone. He wasn't delegating. He was stressed, physically just drained. It got to a point his own relative has to tell him, said, dude, you better start delegating stuff, man. You're going to burn out.
Yeah.
So he did. In the early days of the apostles, so the same thing. It got to a point, Peter and co, they thought they could run a whole show by themselves. It got to a point he had to say, no, Charlie, I think we need to start. Holy Spirit began teaching them, say, start delegating. Say, Stephen, you come and do this. You Then at the end of the day, they were able to have a lot coming. As a content creator, you cannot do it all by yourself, especially if you're a content creator of the sort that actually generates traffic. You can't do it all by yourself. You're going to lose your health in the process. I didn't want to crash my mental health hardest, so I got somebody to help me. And I'm still not even there. There are still comments that I can't respond to. It's pretty demanding, especially if you're cross-broadcasting YouTube everywhere, where everybody needs that response. Everybody wants a piece of your time. And they don't know what it means. Chorkor, I just need 5 minutes of your time. Everybody wants just 5 minutes.
The 1,000 people want 5 minutes. How many hours is that?
5 minutes of everybody wanting to talk to you.
Oh, this is what I mean. 1,000 people want 5 minutes.
5 minutes. That's a lot. That's a lot. Exactly. Sometimes when I read some of the message, Chorkor, I just need 5 minutes of your time. But guess what? if your 5 minutes are available for, say, a couple of crates, they don't want to pay. They want it for free. And sometimes, you know how you say free things are not always the ones there. So I've developed a thick skin right now. I have my own standards, and my followers know me. If you don't follow rules, you ain't going to roll with me. Simple as that. I tell them all the time, if you don't follow rules, it's either you frustrate yourself or I will be the one to frustrate you, because I'm not coming down there to that standard. No. If I say you got to go through my PA, you got to go through it. If I say I don't respond to this, you can curse me on social media all you can. Because I don't do this for the fame of it, I don't care. When I met him, baby. If I did do it for the clicking and to bank on the clicks, I would have cared. Though. But knowing that I'm not doing this for the sake of money, if money follows me, it's a blessing. I don't care at all. My skin is tough.
Whilst we are here, towards the end of last year, beginning of this year, I was sitting on my Facebook inbox. Somebody said, Sister Amma, I have a question. I'm like, okay, what's your question? And that Chorkor Millionaire, he's now going live every 30 minutes. I'm like, is your data missing? What's your data? Is he using your data to go live? What is your own? Look, this is what I would suggest you do. Go to his inbox in humility and ask him, bro, why are you always, because this person is also a content creator.
Yeah.
Why are you going live all the time? So I left this person maybe three months ago. Recently, the person came back and says, Amma, I didn't go to Chorkor. I went and found out the answer for myself. I will no longer ask that stupid question again. Yes, you going live on your page was an accusation for another person.
I know.
So data lost.
Yeah.
So let's do this question briefly. You can answer it in any format you want. Chorkor Millionaire, why is it that all of a sudden we see Chorkor Millionaire every minute? Why?
Well, there were two parts to that answer. The first one is that there was a phase of my last 2 years that I was on parental leave. I was on paternity leave from my job, and I think I was away for about a year. So that meant that I had a lot more time. I was mostly just home, spending time with my kids. And, it was fun being on camera and just sharing. Number two, I also just think that I have an overdose of stuff in me. Overdose. Like, I'm probably leaking with so much. Like, if I were to do videos, I could run for the whole 24 hours without a script. In fact, some of my most viewed videos are videos that I did on the spur of the moment without just thinking through them. And they're the most viewed. So I don't need a script. I don't need a script. I don't need like that amount of research to just do those videos that are deep, coming out of the bottom of my heart, right? So it meant that I had a lot more, my ability to just roll and get going was good. And I also multitask a lot. So sometimes you see most of my videos, I'm driving and I'm talking, you know. It's something that came with what I do as a former taxi driver. Charlie, we can multitask so many things, right? So it's just the amount of information that is inside, or the amount of stuff we feel we could share. And I just feel that it probably will get to a point where it's no longer going to be a 30 minutes of you seeing me every night. It's actually going to be like a 24/7 channel where when you wake up, I'm in your face. And when I'm in your face, it means that's the life we want to live, for people to see that we can be really authentic and unscripted and still come across as people who are living truly for what we're supposed to be. Yeah.
I love that. So you've thrown a few more things, so let's unpick them. You came as a master's student and then you are discussing taxi driver. Okay. This one is confusing to brain, depending on where brain is living. Those of us who are back where we started life, the taxi driver has a certain educational background. When you try and reconcile it with this master's degree business you are discussing, it doesn't gel. So unpick it for us. Which taxi driver and master's student are, please explain.
In fact, when I was at the end of my program, towards the time that I was just doing my research paper, I worked as in a greenhouse, picking up flowers, cleaning them up, making sure they look good for somebody's present or some Mother's Day gift, you know. And I also work in a laundromat where we were just handling all the big laundry stuff for big companies like Embassy Suit and some of the big brands, the Hiltons and co out there. I worked as a taxi driver for probably 2 to 3 years as well. I kept 2-3 jobs. At some point, even 4, I did painting at some point, you know, did moving stuff for people who were moving from one house to the other, or people who were relocating and needed help to move. We did all kinds of jobs. Now, I think there are 2 reasons why we did that. You see, there are bills that cannot be postponed. And you know, when you live in the global north, especially everywhere, I should say, there are just some things that require urgent attention. So if you're sitting down and you are not getting that job you have applied for, if you're sitting down and you haven't gotten that managerial role or that job that aligns with your master's degree qualification, the question is, would you sit down, fold your arms, and say, I'm going to just wait until I get it? Whilst you got a rent to pay, you got groceries to do, you got families back home who are asking for $20, $30 or something like that every month. You have to. So sometimes when we go through those phases of menial jobs, they are transition jobs we had to take because we had bills that are urgent and require urgent attention. It doesn't mean that we intend to actually dwell or stay there, locked down. No, it simply means that we have to do them just to get by. The most important thing is having a plan to actually go through. I think for me, the reason why I couldn't get, say, the ideal jobs when I got out of school was because I was super green. I was very nervous. I didn't know how to navigate the system properly. I didn't know how to network. I didn't know how to, you know, take advantage of the so many resources that would have equipped me to actually present myself to the companies out there. Look, this is a young man who graduated from master's program without doing an internship because it wasn't a requirement of my program, right? So it means that I wasn't even well positioned when it comes. I didn't have an active LinkedIn account to even make myself more visible, right? Around that time. So no employer could have just seen my profile on LinkedIn and say, you know what, you have some skills that we need, so we want to just get you in. I didn't. I wasn't. And I think this is a situation of many of us. We want bigger jobs, but we are not well positioned. Well positioning means, are you in the right networks, right? You know what the Nigerians do here that I actually talk about this a lot. We have a Nigerian group here in Canada made up of professionals from all backgrounds. Some of them from banking, some from health, some from teaching, what have you. And they have one common goal: encouraging each other, providing resources, sharing on platforms on social media and WhatsApp groups, encouraging people to move into 6-figure incomes getting the skills that you need, the certifications you need to get into six-figure incomes. Now, if I am not plugged into this group, how do I get those six-figure incomes? I don't even know if my CV is worthy enough to meet the Canadian standard. And many of us, the first few years of our life abroad, this is our situation. We still draft CVs as though we're back home. Yet every country has a different way or format for drafting CVs, right? So those were the real challenges from an honest point, that I don't think I was well equipped for that transition. That was why I wasn't getting the job. It would be unfair for me to say Canada did not treat me well by giving me a job. I think that, look, there were colleagues who got those jobs because they were well positioned. They were properly networked, and I wasn't. So I just wasn't prepared for it. So I had to go into all those, 2, 3 jobs, chasing $11, $12, $13. And it took a lot out of me, but eventually we did it. Number 2, I also realized that I wasn't crafted for the office. I'm not. My nature, I'm just not an office guy. I'm just a typical hustler on the street. I just love to, think through things, figure out things. You put me in a couch behind a computer for 8 hours every day, you're frustrating me, right? For me to keep a corporate job, I needed, thankfully, my job is a work from home where I have my wife as the person making sure she's keeping me in check behind the scene. Because sometimes she watches me and she's, my husband is getting freaked out. He doesn't like what he's doing. Some of us don't like the jobs we do, but we have to do them because of the bills. We have to do them because of the commitments, the financial things out there, right? The point here is it requires a lot for us to move into jobs that align with our desires. And sometimes it requires that you have to repackage yourself. Sometimes you have to reinvent yourself. Sometimes you have to recertificate and do that, especially in places like this, where whom doesn't matter. What you did yesterday doesn't matter today. What matters is what you do now, where it's all about qualifications, and also showing that you actually know how to do it. Nobody really will pity party you, you know what I mean? Nobody. You have to. Along the line, I have to say that, I don't think the corporate thing is my long-term goal. I want to spend more time with my family. If you watch my channel, I'm very big on that. Why? Because I realized that this whole corporate industrial setup thing from the industrial era, as much as it's helpful, and it helps all of us to get into the workforce and provide for our families, it's also a whole program that is just meant to make some of us just forget our goals and our passions, right? Because when you plug in those 2 shifts, 3 shifts, and you come home and you're so beat up like a box of something, how much time do you have to focus on the things that really matter to you? We don't. So at some point I had to realize that, look, the deficit or the disadvantage of me just being out there and working is that I won't be able to have that quality time with my family. And that was something that I was rough for as a young person growing up. I don't want to deprive my children of quality time. I want to be there for them physically. I don't want to be an absentee father. I don't want to be a father who is not there emotionally for my kids, and no employer could take that time from me. And for me to actually control my time back and redeem the times in an evil generation like this, in a very perverse world today, I have to make sure that I'm controlling my finances while I'm on top of my finances. And so it's a journey we are making intentionally, and we're hoping that we can get to a point where we don't have to wake up crying wolf about money problems, right? Yeah.
Okay, so Selassie and I think it was Adam have both asked me, let me raise it with you. When is your next real estate masterclass? So what other masterclasses are you running?
I currently don't have a masterclass, so I think that is an area that a street content creator could use some coaching. I don't have. Most of my videos are just free.
Look.
Yeah.
Come to Mama. Come, let me set you up on that one because it's a necessity. The dreams you are sharing, it fits in very nicely with those. So, I was going to say Bia, but that's my ewe is disgraceful. All of you are ewes around me, and none of you is actually teaching me this ewe. You should be ashamed of yourself.
About them, man.
Mesegoma.
100% number 9. I'm also a number 9. 100%
all of you, a lot of you around me are number 9, but only is trying to teach me the language. You should all be ashamed of yourselves. You should teach me the language. I was trying to find come to Mama in there where I couldn't even say that. That's ridiculous.
Mavaga Magawari, Mavaga, they are blessings here.
Vasia. Vava.
My sister Lynn Ado. I'll let you also connect with Lynn Ado aside from Celestia Lynn Ado, who is also a content creator.
Lynn and I have actually a date. I am going to see Lynn in about 2 weeks.
Nice. Charlie, I wish you guys all the best. Just make sure you don't gossip too much about the men.
Oh no, that's not gossip. We will gossip about you, but that's another thing I want to
exactly.
One of the things I admire about you is how you are able to connect. I remember mentioning Nancy just once. You latched on, found Nancy, you projected Nancy, and I'm like, this is dedication. What you have done for Selassie, you are doing for Lynn, you are doing for so many of our people. Can I just say thank you first for that? It is wonderful that you have done that. It's amazing that you are spotlighting so many of our people. It is the legacy, that's your real legacy. The rest of the teachings and the rest are very important, but it's the practical setup of those who can also get in the ministry and also affect other people's lives. That for me is the greatest contribution. And I want to ask, why did you want to do that? Why?
It's the Holy Spirit.
Okay.
You cannot be selfish. Look, the fruits of the Spirit, right? One of them is to have that generous spirit. You can't. Look, guys, I'm not here to prove to you that I'm more saint than you are. I started going to church from 2001, from primary school. There is a difference between going to church and actually experiencing God. The one thing I can tell you is that when you have that encounter, you'll never be the same. Right? And the reason why when I make my videos, I'm I just make my points the way I make them is that, look, there are things you can fake.
You have to be patient.
There are things you can fake, but there are things that look silly when we fake them. Right? Many of us go to church. We don't have a relationship with Christ. That's a fact. I was, at least for my kid, myself, I know I was. I used to go to church and chase women all the time. I used to go to church.
Of all the places.
Oh, yeah. Like, some of us, right from the church, like when we, in fact, inside the church, cry where we mess up more. Some of us right inside the church. That is why when you go to church, yeah, there are different people sitting on the pew there, Charlie. People with different baggages. So if you wait for us to say whether Charlie, this thing where they do one because you really have an experience, or they do one because you are rolling with a crowd, right? For me, in 2017 in May, I had a spiritual awakening, and that has been the difference. Something happened to my heart spiritually. It wasn't a one-day surgery. It's that kind of surgery that takes time to just manifest itself. And what I found is that I just moved from just thinking about myself to thinking about people more, right? Look, if you're watching me today, your children will call you a great father. Your wife will call you a great husband. And guess what? Your greatness will be just to your family, your nuclear family. If you want to be truly, truly great, you need to live a life for other people. And a life for other people means that lifting people up, being a merchant of hope, causing your presence must shine light. You cannot be like a light that is hidden underneath the bed. No, you have to shine. You see, it's so easy for me to lift other people up because I understand that the job is vast, but the laborers are few. It's not just about me. We need more people. We actually need more people of my kind out there. It's not just me. So why wouldn't I be happy that we have a lot more people coming to the fold to actually work? I'm a workman, but there are more people needed on the field. We need more. Number two, I also have come to the realization that I alone was created the way I was created. No other kind of me out there. There will be none like me. If you ever find somebody, even if they have the same mannerism, the same everything, trust me, they will never be like me. I'm unique. There will be no competition out there for me. There can be people out there who can bring the best out of me, There can be people that who could bring the best out of them refining, but there will be none like me. You know what that means? It simply means that I don't see people as a threat.
Yeah.
I don't see Selassie as a threat. I don't see Peter Bewa as a threat. I don't see all the content creators. I don't see you, Amma, as a threat because I'm unique. I can never be you. You can never be me.
Absolutely.
Best case scenario is that we are all causing each other to grow. And when you have that kind of mindset, you see each other as a resource instead of a threat. The truth is that there are many people who cannot withstand the shine of others because when what they see is negative envy. You see that? What they see is no, they want to covet what you have. No, you're different. Your market value, you see, your true value is what God said you are. So me, I don't see any content creator. I don't care if you have 1 million, 2, 3 million views, there will be none like Chorkor. And so because I know that when I lift people up, I do it all from my heart, knowing that the ocean will continue to produce fish until the end of this time and will never lack fish. Why should I worry?
Easy mindset. It really
That's
is.
a mindset. Yeah. That's a mindset of abundance, not a mindset of scarcity.
Abundance
mindset of scarcity says, oh, when I promote Amma, my audience will go down. When I promote Mr. O, my audience. No, that's a mindset of scarcity. You're scared. That's what they taught us in economics, that we have little of this, little of that. The truth is we've never had little of anything. God has sustained this universe right from the beginning. Is that not what he said in the Bible? Even when there is nothing, out of nothing I can make. Out of nothing, he actually creates. And when you have this kind of mindset, nobody is a threat. Instead, you see people as creative partners to bring the best out of you. You see, if we have this kind of mindset, we'll probably have to park and Biggie around, isn't it? Look at the two of them, they're all gone. Because instead of seeing each other as, you know what, uniquely talented and gifted in their own domain, flourishing and building partnership, East Coast and West Coast, we have to fight ourselves, and then at the end of the day, none of us is here. Right? There should be a moment where Davido and Whiskey will be the best of people producing the best collab, because no matter what Whiskey does, he can never have that froggy voice of Davido.
No.
And no matter what Davido does, he can never have that silky voice of what? Whiskey. Never. Why do we have Shatawale and Stoneboy? Why can't they be friends? My shine means my light must go down. Is that not what the Bible said in the book of John? When John the Baptist and his own disciples were out there doing their stuff and they were just baptizing across, and Jesus was out to do his first ever outreach, baptism. You know, he was baptizing just across from them in the book of John. The disciples of John the Baptist went to him and said, Master, see that man, the man you baptized the last time? He's stealing the show. He's stealing the show. He's taking all the crowd from us. Quickly, John the Baptist rebuked them. And it was a kind of rebuke that made you realize that, look, you can have followers who follow you but may not know who you are. There may be people who follow Chorkor Millionaire but may not know what I stand for. Right? They said they've been following John the Baptist, but they never knew the man's mission. John had to remind them, haven't I told you that my whole existence is because of this man? I came because of him. In fact, he is supposed to increase and I'm supposed to what? Decrease. So what are you talking about? Must somebody's success be a threat to me? No. We live in an era where Bill Gates is partnering with Mark Zuckerberg. What does it teach us? We live in an era where Jeff Bezos is partnering somebody to go into space. What does it teach us? Why can't we see partnership as a source to actually bring the best out of us? Because we're all unique. God never created anybody to be the same. We're all unique. Even twins never will be the same. Even the most identical of them are still different. That's a fact. So people, if you are watching, I want you to have that mindset of abundance. A mindset of abundance tells you that you are great in your own ways because it created it to be unique. That your true value is not from man, it's from God. That your true value tells you that what is inside you and be given is actually your assignment that you should focus on. See people as a source of inspiration, resources from God. Resource. God is the source. The people are the resource. And he wants you to enjoy people. Nipa namya de bayanwe. And yes, when you have that mindset, of course, it doesn't also mean that there are not toxic people out there. There are people who are actually out there for your blood. There are people who actually may hate you, but they can always package it in a nice way and there's no heap a coal of fire on their head, isn't it? Yeah.
It's amazing. Look, I want to thank you sincerely for that. You are doing brilliantly. The people you are spotlighting are thriving as a result. And I'm sure there's a lot of them who would definitely echo what I'm saying. Akpe, akpe, kakaka. That's
thank you. And as they are growing and as they are thriving, am I not thriving too?
Well, yes.
We're all doing well, isn't it?
It's amazing. So it's wonderful to see that camaraderie. I love how all of you are so close knit, because this space is lonely anyway. It's difficult to do this on your own. It is much better if you had a network. If I was sat here talking by myself, I'd have been tired. But look, you and I, we've talked for a long time. I didn't even look at the time. I'm like, ooh, is that how long we've been going for? Yeah. It was quicker, it was easier, it was thoroughly enjoyable because I was talking to you. If I tried to do the same thing on my own, it would not have been the same experience. So thank you so much for coming, but I have a challenge for you.
Okay.
All right. So listening to the people, a lot of the people are definitely asking for guidance. They want to know, they want to learn. In order for you to be able to teach them, you do need to learn systems. So that's my challenge. You need to learn the systems so you can teach them the courses they want to learn. Because they are all asking in the comments. They want you to teach them. And yeah, teaching them live is difficult to manage, as you've already picked up. There are systems you need to learn so that the teaching of it is manageable. And if I tempt you to look into it, then come. Let me show you where some of those things are.
Thank you. Invitation accepted.
And see if I be able to. All right.
Invitation
I'm excited,
accepted.
very excited. But those of you, good. I'm glad you have. I'm glad you have. Like you said, there's quite a lot of people who need to learn quite a lot of things, and there's quite a lot of us who need to position to be able to do that. And it's a wonderful thing. It will help those you want to reach, and it will help you at the same time, which is great. And thank you so much for coming. I wanted to hear your story. I wanted them to discover you. And if you're a content creator, one of the things I'd like you to go to Chorkor Millionaire's platform to learn is how to sanitize your page and discipline your audience.
Yeah, they say I'm very, very blunt and this, but challenge. Sometimes we need to.
Look, I am brutal, but I watch you sometimes. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, like for me, like I think mine is pretty simple. I'm not doing it for money. If I get blessed financially through the process, so because of that, I'm just myself, right? I'm just myself. Like I'm not one of those guys who is an establishment sponsored guy. So you say, Charlie, company sponsor. Even the company who want to sponsor me tomorrow, they cannot. They cannot. No. When you bring your terms, no, I will give you my own terms. No, I'm not desperately looking for some people's money. Yeah. Is that how you come, you accept my brand the way it is? Of course, it doesn't mean I'm not open for advice here and there, wise counsel. Sometimes we get things wrong and then we're happy to. But I don't want somebody to tame me and cage me. No, I cannot be tamed. I cannot be. Now, there is a question on the screen. I'm not sure if it's a question you'd like to take before.
Yes, I kept it there so I didn't forget. So Ria's Chalks, I think the Chalks must be a connection to Chorkor. So when he first came on, he said you had made him a very proud guy. Then in the middle of it, he discovered that you are an Ewe. So he says, how did you get the name Chorkor?
Wow. When my first video went viral, second video and all of that, and I created a channel name, I had a challenge coming up with a name. In fact, it was that moment that I started respecting corporations and people out there who come up with very nice name, unique names for their brands. I'm like, wow, this thing is not that easy, man. You see somebody having a name like, despite media, this and that, you might think it's easy. But when it's your time to create your own, you can actually spend hours and days thinking of the right name that captures, everything about you and what you represent. And it was difficult. I remember when I created my YouTube channel, the original name was Breaking Free to Dream.
Oh.
Breaking Free to Dream. That was the original name. Right?
Right.
When I created a Chorkor Millionaire channel, the original name was, so on YouTube, I had Breaking Free to Dream. And then when I sat down and something just told me that this name there, can't you tell it's too long? Yeah? It's too long. Is it a sentence? Somebody going to write an essay. Breaking Free to Dream. All right. Then I changed it to something else, the winner's mindset. And I changed it and I was there, and the spirit was just telling me, no, that's not the name. That's not the name. So I just sat down there and then I got an inspiration from two sources. One is a personal mentor, somebody who has played a big role in my own life. Like back in Ghana, Mr. Kojo Ofori Chumesi, formerly of Vodafone Ghana. You know, he has this name or just nickname aside from Shotos. Everybody will know him for Shotos if you went to the same secondary school with him, Papa Shotos. And we used to call him Kwejo Billionaire. Kwejo Billionaire. And it's not because he's got $1 billion in his bank account, but because he just the way he thinks, his software, right? Software in the mind. So I started and I said, but your mentor be Kwejo Billionaire. So if you cannot be as great as your mentor self, I know you go feel set for millionaire, no be so. Your mentor be the billionaire. You be the millionaire. So that was where I got a millionaire from, right? Then Chorkor, the inspiration for Chorkor came from the Bible. John 1:46. You know, when somebody asks, can anything good come out of Nazareth? I looked at it, I said, what do people think of Chorkor? When you mention Chorkor, it invokes all kinds of, people look down on Chorkor. For those who don't know, Chorkor is a town in the capital of Ghana, Accra. And it's typically not a place that in the past people will associate good things with, right? When they think of slum, when they want to write about slums in the books, they write Chorkor. When they want to write teenage pregnancy, they write Chorkor. When they want to write, people who have this, they write Chorkor. When they want to mock, say, the guns, Chorkor will be featured. When they want to mock, everything that is not what is ideal of a society, modern society, is Chorkor. So I looked at it and said, look, even though I'm not originally a Ghan, but I had a privilege to actually be nurtured in this tough area, I think that I should be proud to wear it as a badge of honor, because that same area that people wouldn't expect anything good to come out from is the same area that polished me up and prepared me to be resilient as I am today. That is why I decided to just go with the name Chorkor. So the Chorkor is my Nazareth that something good may not have come based on people's opinion. But today, I am the one today that probably has impacted my own friends and people who share common backgrounds like I do, and then, aspirations too. So that is the whole idea. That telling people that, look, you can come from a damn poor background, but God has a plan for you. And he's always taking people like us to actually use us as cornerstones.
That is inspirational, actually. And Rios, thank you for raising it so I could put this on. But let me thank you so much, Chorkor, for coming. I have thoroughly enjoyed myself. You remember when I first got in touch with you, I told you I wanted to come to your page. So here I am. I am inviting myself to your page. So tell me when and what you want us to talk about, and I will present myself to come cause trouble with your audience. You know I'm coming to cause trouble. So
there was a video. There are some. I like your fire movement. For those who don't know fire, like financially independent and retire early and stuff like that. She's big on money matters. That's why she has a whole academy, money academy, right? Because I mean, if you are not on top of financial issues, then Charlie, everybody has money problems. So money palava. Oh, money palava. Everybody has money problems, including even the rich countries like Canada. They have money problems, right? So we need to be on top. We need to work hard to be smart when it comes to handling money. And I think this is something that my big sister here champions. But the aspect that really, really got me glued to your channel, there were times when your videos, those days where Facebook would just suggest, nobody mentioned you to me. There were days when your videos just popped up on my screen and I would just swipe by, not watch. 2-3 times I would swipe and not watch. And one day I just watched. I think you were just doing your thing, your intellectual witchcraft, right? Where you just sit and you unpick things nobody, like people know you for Cora, that you are probably the therapy or the discussion that Cora should hire, right? Cora should hire. But there were aspects, especially when the Okoye brothers, Peter and Paul, I think there was a video you did on one, and I sat back and I looked and said, wow, this woman is deep. It's deep. It takes somebody who respects the patterns of this world and how they reveal so much. Somebody who is able to map out meanings in the little things that are obscure. to be able to make sense of this and piece them together, you know, like that, the puzzle. If this whole life is a big puzzle, and you just have a way of just unpicking things and putting them in. Yeah, and then when you do it, I thoroughly enjoy them. So for me, that was what did it for me. That was when I became like a fan. And you know, I remember going on my channel and just talking about you, gossiping about you, and telling my people to go check you out. You know, so yeah, guys, if your life is a big mess or you have things that are confusing and you want this woman to come and put a microscopic eyes on it, just see her.
It's called tactical witchcraft. You know, sometimes I'll watch these social issues, I will pick it up months before. People will insult me.
Mm-hmm.
At first, it used to bother me because I wonder why. This is obvious. Why are people not seeing it?
Mm-hmm.
I would say they would still not see it. They would insult me. Well, and then years later, like this Cora one. Now that everything is unfolding, people will come back and say, "Hey, you said it, oh,
Mm-hmm.
hey."
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that video you made?
Yeah.
Hey!
Yeah, you said it. You called it. You called it first, man. You called it.
Yeah, I can pay attention to unnecessary details.
On how you do it, combining that with work and stuff, Charlie, is just amazing. And I think you have the same, probably a heavy dose or more of the energy that I also have, because the amount of videos you do in a day, I'm like, whoa. And you know, when I just don't know. I just don't know. But at the right time, you come on my platform and I can also get into your.
Yes. Now, let me know when you have time. Let me know which are the things you are interested in. You can ask the audience and let me know what they are interested in. Even if they want me to work on some of the premium stuff I do, I will do it just for your channel. So let me know how the audience wants it, how you want it, and then we will serve it that way.
Thank you so much, and thanks for having me here. I know I'm a stranger. I'm your official Habibi, you know, but I'm here, and someday we should also be able to make trips down to the Gulf regions and just connect and go sail on our yachts, right? So
probably come and see me. And in fact, when you are finally settled, and the kids are grown, I need to teach you how to Jakpa this way too, because the Jakpa this way is also very unique.
Okay. Charlie, that's very a goal. People they look me, they say me I carry Canada like vodka. They don't know that, Charlie, the movement. Look, man will always be Jakparing until we enter the grave. We are pilgrims. We just keep moving, right? So even though now Canada seems to fit into where I'm supposed to be by design, I believe that there are times when God just keeps moving people. The Bible says that he determines the place and time of each and every man, isn't it? When he told Abraham, the first Jakparian, to move, Abraham said, but I'm doing fine here. He said, move. I said you should move, isn't it? Right? Joseph thought he was being stubborn by hanging around with his family. God had to force him out, force migration to Egypt. He said, man, I need you there, man, because there is something coming in the future. And you're going to be that prime minister to face that global recession. Joseph took him there. Jesus himself, how much time did he spend with his own people in his native home? He was spending more time out there, right? So Jakparing, pragmatic Jakparing is not a crime. Isn't it?
Nope.
You see,
yes, about immigrants.
You see, it's not a crime. So long as you are doing it for the good of God and it glorifies God. If Tetekwashi never Jakpad, we probably wouldn't have the cruise we are having today with Coco.
Exactly.
Isn't it? If Kwame Nkrumah never Jakpad, he probably wouldn't have caught that fire from our Caribbean forefather, Marcus Garvey, and all of them to come back and liberate the continent. Right? So sometimes when we are moving, it's because God wants us to move. If you are moving, remember, Africa will always be that home for us. You might be gone, but he'll bring you back in due time. And I think a day is coming when the continent of Africa will be so ripe and ready for its children, north, south, east, and west of this universe. And we'll come back home, bringing our sweat back home. There's nothing wrong with it, right? Jakpa could be a force for development if we harness it well. Just make sure that you remember home. Home is home. This place that we live in, enjoying all this, then it's never our home. Home is where our umbilical cords were buried as Africans, and we will be back home. Yeah.
That is the vision. I love it. But you know, as my final words on this one, the British Empire became the British Empire because of Jakpa. That's the thing a lot of even the British don't know.
They don't know.
They used to live on a cold, miserable island.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have spice.
My
They didn't
goodness.
have salt. They had nothing. It used to be that the king or the queen would commission boats to go out. If you
Mm-hmm.
know anything about the British and you know anything about the explorers, they were actually officially commissioned by the king or the queen at the time to Jakpa.
To Jakpa.
Jakpa sanctioned
Mm-hmm.
by the queen. That is how they discovered, and they brought things from India. That's how they went to Africa and they colonized Africa. That's how they found the Americas. That's how they found the rest of the world. It
Yeah.
was professional, tactical, king or queen endorsed Jakpa.
Yes.
And because of that, look how big the empire became.
Has
Look
been
how
built.
the land masses, and look at how huge its impact became. It was Jakpa.
Yeah.
So if you ever wanted a motivation to Jakpa, I don't think most of you need it from me anyway. But I shared the story with you. I thought I'll bring Chorkor so that we can teach you some of the tricks to do it properly and responsibly.
Legally,
so
that's true. Yeah.
You don't go to suffer. Yeah, you were
And
trying to
permit me to add this when you're done. I'm not sure if I cut you in there. My apologies if I did. Just to be clear, I am not a proponent of the fact that you cannot succeed in Africa. No, I never preach that. Right? There are some of us who must Jakpa because it's divine.
Yeah.
Nkrumah had to, because it was all part of the big scheme to actually liberate the continent. In the history of all the presidents we have in Ghana, probably there are about 2 of them who never Jakpa. All of them, including the sitting president, they Jakpa, and they came back. So there is nothing wrong with that. The most important thing is what is driving it. What is the motivation? You can succeed right in Ghana, right in Nigeria, without ever stepping out. If that is the assignment and what God has designed for you, so be it. But do not be a witch trying to stop people from jackpotting. Don't be a witch. Use your witchcraft to better the lives of people. And remember, have it simple, especially those who have a problem with those who jackpot legally. If you don't want us to jackpot, no problem. Just adopt us. Adopt us and show us the way to succeed the way you are also succeeding. I have a lot of people in my family right now who are struggling to feed in Ghana. So from extended family, plenty of them, boys for Ghana, plenty. So if you don't want them to jackpot, please give us your address. I'll bring them to you. Just nurture them to succeed just as you're doing. Simple. You cannot be a witch trying to frustrate people. You know they help people. People, they go look for greener opportunities. Okay, give them land to farm. You are not. Give them loan to do. You are not doing it. Give them this. You are not giving them. And then when people want to go and better themselves and then send $4.7 billion on yearly basis and remittance back home to build a continent, you say wait. You say wait. Boom, boom. Hey. Boom, boom. You say wait.
I think it's Yoruba or Igbo. It's one of the Nigerian languages.
Jakpa is from Yoruba. Yeah.
It's to leave. That's all it means. It's to leave. It's
to seek greener pastures.
Yeah. To migrate.
The pastures can be home in Ghana. It depends on which side of the aisle you sit and how you see it.
But listen,
if the pastures is green, then take them.
Pockets. Depends on how much is in your pocket.
Exactly.
If you go to that place and your pocket is full, you can live well.
Yeah.
Try an empty pocket.
Yes.
My summers in Ghana. When I arrive, Ghana is sweet, brother. When it is the last 2 weeks before I come out, hey! The bank account is empty. Hey! You passed 2 weeks ago and it was so sweet and it was lovely. You pass that place again, you'll be feeling the bite and you're like, hey!
That is why when our brothers and sisters who live abroad or in other countries in the global north, when they come down for the December party, you see how quick they live in it. You see how quick they live in January, yeah?
I stay for 6 to 7 weeks. By week 5,
Africa is still sweet. We just have to admit that we have a lot more work to do in order to just create the most desirable environment for everyone to thrive. And right now, leadership is not doing it. That is why you got to take responsibility and cause a change in your life. If you don't cause a change, guess what? You're going to fade out. Because we were created to have dominion and thrive. If you ain't thriving and you're surviving, it's just a matter of time. You will aspire. All right.
I think that wraps it all up. Thank you,
Thank
guys.
Thank
so
you
much for your company. And Chorkor, God bless you.
God bless you.
Let's on the side and let's see where the return match will happen.
Thank you.
Thank you. And
God
if you've
bless you.
not the channel, please look for it. It's Chorkor Millionaire.
Yes.
You'll find him on Facebook. Now you know what he looks like. Those of you who disturb me about Jakpa, don't come to my inbox. I'm showing you all the Jakpa boys. When I finish, I'm going back to my fire academy and my mindset. Don't disturb me again. These are the people who will tell you the information you need. I'm showing you, find their channels, bring your pen and your paper and go learn. After that, I'll see you doing my normal witchcraft as usual. Thank you all and God bless.
God bless you. Okay.
Bye.